Okay, this is part 3 of the English Language Paper 1 Question 2 revision videos. And so this one is the question on language analysis. And what I want to do in this video is just talk you through the answer that I wrote in the last video in response to the question, how does the writer use language to describe the old woman in their Great Expectations extract there. So you will have watched that video and seen me write up my answer. Now I think this response would get you somewhere in the region of around 5 to 6 marks, something like that anyway. And that is kind of in the level 3 sort of area for the mark scheme. Okay, so if I bring up the mark scheme here it is, level 3. So I would expect a level 3 response to be doing these things. Show clear understanding of the language. We've got 3 bullet points. Clearly explains the effects of the writer's choice of language. Selects a range of relevant quotations and uses subject terminology accurately. So let's have a look at this first, well, it's the third one actually, subject terminology. So I'm really quickly just going to circle all the subject terminology. So I've got the writer here. It's really important that you focus your answer and you talk about what the writer is doing, because the question is, how does the writer? And then adjectives, subject terminology, narrator. As you fade away, this suggests. We get the impression. Describe. Simile. Got the writer again there. Both decaying and fading. As well as the simile again. And the adjective. The writer. Metaphor. Compare. Oh, I used emphasize up here as well. That's a good one, and that is some subject terminology. Let's go with the word death, the image of horror. Right, so you can see that I've used all that terminology all the way through my answer, and that's what the examiners wanting to see you do. They want to know that you know what those words mean and that you can use them when you're describing what a writer is doing with their language. Okay, so the next thing on the mark scheme is, in that clear box, it's saying about relevant quotations. Okay. This word relevant is important because what you want to make sure you do is make sure you use quotations that you are then explaining that link to the question. You don't want to be picking random quotations or words from the text that really aren't going to help you write about what the question is asking you about. So let's have a quick look at our quotations. Let's see what we've got here. So I've got white and yellow. Those are 2 words from the text, and then I talk about those words, and it is about what those words are showing me about the old woman. So yes, they're relevant. I've got the simile down here. The adjective withered, and that's another word that's telling me, that's another quotation that I'm going to link to explaining what makes me think or feel about the old woman, so it's relevant. So the skeleton, the dark eyes that moved, and sometimes I don't even put in put it in quotation marks. The ideas of eyes moving just seems to fit into that sentence, but it's still a reference to this text. So I've got relevant quotations that I'm going to use to talk about the question and what the question focus is, the old woman. Okay, so the final thing in the clear and relevant box is clearly explains the effects of the writer's choice of language. So in green, I'm going to highlight where I'm doing that. So firstly, the writer uses adjectives to describe the narrator. You can see he uses the colours white and yellow. When something fades from white to yellow, we get the impression of something aging, fading away and dying. This suggests that the woman is also fading away. So that's me talking about the effect of those particular words and what they've made me think, and what they've made me think about the old woman. In fact, the writer uses the word faded to describe the things he can see around the woman, which makes us think she's fading. I've made a mistake there, which makes us think she is fading too. So comment on effect. Also, the writer uses a simile to emphasise how the dress and the bride are both decaying and fading away. The writer says, "The bride had withered like the dress she wore." As well as this simile, the adjective withered makes me think that the woman is wasting away to nothing, and that she is weak and decaying like the dress she wears. Now, one thing to note about this one is that I could have just stopped there, if I put my full stop there. The word withered makes me think the woman is wasting away to nothing. Okay, fair enough. But I'm a bit cleverer than that, and so I can think a little bit more deeply, and I know it's having more than just one effect on me. It makes me think this as well. So it makes me makes the examiner think that, oh yeah, they've really thought deeply about the effect of this word and considered the different ways of different meanings that it gets across to us. Not just one, there's more than one there. And that's the same down here. When I talk about the skeleton and the dark eyes, this connects the woman with death, and she almost becomes an image of horror. The idea of eyes moving seems sinister and frightening. The writer gives the impression that she is a monstrous figure. So yes, I could have just said sinister and frightening and leave it there, but I wanted to get in the idea, because I've thought a little bit more carefully about it, that she's appearing to be this sort of monstrous figure. Okay, so just a quick look back at the mark scheme. I think it's in this sort of area, and I've just shown you how it's got into that range of marks, and so those are the things that you need to make sure you're doing in your response. Okay, there is another video actually for question 2 where I talk about how you could get into level 4 being perceptive and detailed. So that's part 4 of question 2, so go to that video to find out how you can become perceptive and detailed.